Imagine it is 8 p.m. You've had a long day at work, made dozens of reports, and sat through 3 meetings. You walk into the kitchen to make dinner. You have healthy ingredients in the fridge, but instead you find yourself staring blankly at the shelves for 5 minutes before eventually giving up and ordering a greasy pizza. You feel like you failed your diet, but the truth is, your willpower didn't fail you. Your brain simply ran out of fuel. This is decision fatigue. In the world of psychology, we describe willpower not as a personality trait, but as a limited battery. Every choice you make, from what socks to wear to how to phrase an email, drains that battery. By the time evening rolls around, you aren't lazy, you are mentally bankrupt. Today, we're looking at why your brain makes trash decisions when it's tired, and the choice effect roadmap to protecting your mental energy. To understand this, we have to look at a famous and controversial study involving judicial rulings. Researchers tracked over 1,000 decisions made by parole judges over a 10-month period. They wanted to see what factor most influenced whether a prisoner was granted parole. Was it the severity of the crime? The time served? The prisoner's behavior? The answer was none of those. The single most important factor was the time of day the judge heard the case. Prisoners who appeared before the judge early in the morning or immediately after a lunch break had a 65% chance of being granted parole. However, as the session went on and the judge became mentally drained, the chances of parole dropped to nearly zero. The judges weren't being cruel, they were experiencing decision fatigue. When the brain is tired, it takes the path of least resistance. In the judge's case, that meant saying no and keeping the status quo. When your mental battery hits 10%, your brain starts taking two dangerous shortcuts. The first is impulsivity. You buy the candy bar at the checkout line or snap at your partner over something small. You no longer have the energy to filter your impulses. The second shortcut is avoidance. You put off the big project, ignore the difficult conversation, or, like our judges, you just say no to anything new. Every choice carries a decision tax. The more choices you are forced to make, the higher the tax becomes. This is why some of the most successful people in the world, like Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg, are famous for wearing the exact same outfit every single day. They weren't being fashion-forward. They were eliminating one of the first taxes of the day so they could save their mental energy for the decisions that actually mattered. In our modern world, the tax is higher than ever. We are bombarded by micro-choices from the second we wake up. Which notification do I click first? Which coffee size do I want? Which route should I take to work? By the time you actually sit down to do your real work, you've already paid a massive mental toll. This is where the choice paradox we discussed in our last video meets decision fatigue. Too many options lead to too many choices, which leads to a dead battery. So, how do we fix this? How do we stop the drain? Here is the choice effect roadmap to mastering your mental energy. Step 1. The rule of automation. Identify the low-value decisions you make every morning and eliminate them. Set out your clothes the night before. Meal prep your lunches. Follow the same routine for the first hour of your day. By turning these into habits, they no longer require a withdrawal from your mental battery. Step 2. Eat the frog. This is a classic productivity rule with a psychological foundation. Make your most important, most difficult decision first thing in the morning when your battery is at 100%. Never leave your biggest choices for 5 o'clock in the evening. Your evening self is not as smart as your morning self. Step 3. Use decision freezes. If you find yourself staring at a menu or a grocery shelf for more than 2 minutes, realize that decision fatigue is setting in. Implement a freeze. Pick the first good enough option and move on. Remember the 70% rule. An imperfect decision made quickly is often better than a perfect decision that leaves you exhausted for the rest of the day. Decision fatigue is a silent thief. It steals your productivity, your health, and your relationships. But by understanding that your willpower is a finite resource, you can start spending it wisely.
You can stop making choices by accident and start making them by design. Tell me in the comments, what is the one morning choice you're going to automate starting tomorrow? I read every response. And if you're ready to stop letting exhaustion run your life, hit subscribe to join our community. Let's master the choice effect together.